I've been telling this story for a long time. It's the oldest story I've been telling. About 10 years ago, long before I ever thought I was a storyteller, my friend Ron Green gave me this one. We had a school we were just opening up in Costa Rica, and he said, I've got the kids. There was 12 or 13 teenagers at the time. Take this, read one, let me know when you're done. I opened it up, not knowing where to start, and came across the beautiful tale of 3 languages. When I came back, the studio was glorious. There were kids with power tools, they were painting, there was gardening going on. Some of them were wrangling a goat in the back, and some were just doing puzzles, and some were jacking around the way teenagers do. He saw me and he brought everything to a stop, and he called everybody in and sat us down in a circle, and I didn't know what was going on. And he lit a candle, very much like this one. He said, hey guys, Carl's gonna tell you a story. This is the story of 3 languages by Brothers Grimm. So a long time ago, there was a count, and the count had a son, and the son was dumb. So the count sent his boy away for a year to a master. And after a year, in a prodigal son return sort of way, the boy came back, and the expectant father was awaiting him as he appeared on the horizon, and they ran and they met and they embraced. And the father said, son, what have you learned? The boy said, Father, I've learned the language of dogs. The father chuckled and he said, now tell me, what have you learned? And the boy said, it's true, I know their fears, I know their dreams, I know their desires, I know. And the father said, son, I want to know what you've learned over 1 year. And the boy's eyes started to drop, but he mumbled, I've learned the language of dogs. What else can I say? And the father ordered him to get out. And he sent him away for another year to another master. After that year, when the boy returned, the father was not expectant. He was sitting in his chambers, back towards the door. And as the boy came in, his eyes were dropped. And the father heard him, and he said, son, what have you learned? The boy said, Father, I learned the language of frogs. The father, get out! Immediately sent him away. For another year, to another master. This time when the boy came, the father was not even waiting for him in his chambers. The father sent the servants to speak to the boy, and when the servants spoke to the boy said, I've learned the language of birds. He was delighted to tell the servants that had raised him. What a beauty it was to understand what the birds sing every morning throughout the day. But they were full of fear, and they said, son, you must tell us something else. Do you have any idea what your father will say? You tell him that I have learned the language of birds. When the servants told the father, the count gathered everyone, and bringing his father to the center of the people. He said, "This is no longer my son." And he told the servants to take him away and kill him. The servants were split, to say the least. And taking aim, they shot a doe. And they slit its tongue. And they gouged its eyes. Tokens that the son was dead. And they told the boy, "Go. Don't ever come back." The boy traveled for days. When hunger was too much and thirst was too much, and he needed a place to rest, he found a castle, a place where he asked for shelter. He pounded on that door 3 times. The servant asked the master, and the master said, "Yeah, give him a place in the dungeon with the dogs." Now, the dogs in that castle's dungeon were vicious. Everyone knew. No one came out of there alive. So the next morning, the king was excited, and he took his men with torches down into the dungeon. To his surprise, the boy was sitting amongst the vicious dogs, petting them. The king said, "Son, how did you do this?" And the boy said, "I know the language of the dogs. And they've been telling me that in this wall, there's gold beyond your greatest dreams, king." And the king said, Where is it?" He pulled a stone, and certainly there was gold beyond anyone's dreams. The king, of course, gathered everyone together, took the boy center stage, and said, "This boy is now my son." The boy lived well for a while. But after some time, he got that itch where you just gotta go somewhere. Everything's okay, but you gotta go. And so he spoke to his father and he asked for a blessing, because what he wanted to do was to visit Rome. And his father gave him the blessing and prepared a caravan with anything and everything the boy could ever need. There were servants, there was water, there were swords, there was food, there were animals to take him through the desert to Rome. He gave him his blessing, and the boy in the caravan were off. Some time went by, and as they made their way through a marsh, the boy called the caravan to a stop. And he listened. Shh. The frogs there were croaking, and a tear came down the boy's face, for he knew. He knew. And he quickly said, "Let's go! The caravan must move. We must make our way to Rome." And as they got to Rome, he saw through the streets and the somberness of people's eyes that what the frogs had croaked was true. The Pope was dead. He made his way to the great church. And as he walked in, all the cardinals and the priests were gathered together. And 2 birds that were up in the rafters came down and rested on his shoulders. At that moment, they said, "There he is! He must be the one!" And, "Who?" said the boy. And the birds started to sing. "Our next pope," some said. As they wrote paper, hoping the smoke was white, the birds started to sing a song. everything would be okay. Just follow what we say. The birds were singing. We've been here our whole life. And the boy accepted and was a great hope as he listened to the birds and spoke to the people the words that they needed to hear. That is the story of 3 languages, as gathered by Brothers Grimm and as told by me, Gluskabe. And that's all I know.